Now the women's double sculls. It's the immediate contrasts at Henley, which are part of the pleasure of the event, from big men's eights to the women's double sculls. And we have Bath University here against Hollandia Roer Club from the Netherlands. On the Berkshire side, the Dutch pair Roos de Jong and Oldenburg Marloes. And on the Buck side, that's the right-hand side as you look at your screen, Laura Macro and Steph Clutterbuck.
Yes, Laura and Steph, they won Women's Henley just a couple of weeks ago, the shorter course, the three-quarter distance course, so they'll know this well, and this will be familiar. They'll have gone out the start and practice all of this beforehand at Women's Henley. But look at this now, their crews look like, from this shot, they might be coming together a little bit, and let's keep an eye on their line. It's really important that they stay on their side of the river so they can get the best water.
And the British pair off the Buck station, moving a little, as is so often the temptation, from right to left in the early part of the race. The Dutch pair keeping their line, and what little alarm there might have been seems to have dissipated now, not least because Oldenburg and Roos de Jong have established a substantial enough lead that there is no peril in their proximity.
And I think they'll be enjoying this, their first time with Henley. Of course, this is a new event this year, so records will be set today and possibly broken as we go on later in the week. And yeah, this is beautiful sculling, and double sculls are such difficult boats sometimes to get right, because you're holding 50-50 of each part of it, and the synchronicity of it is so key. And this Dutch scull, and they are really just working well together, picking up the water loosely and gently. And you can see how long their hands stay outside the boat. That's the bit where their legs come on, and then they just move the boat. When they start to move, they just fly back, and that's what's lifting their boat up and out.
And what are the levels of communication within one of these boats? Is there a distinct individual making the calls? Do they have very separate roles?
Yeah, the bow man or woman, and the woman, as we're looking there, was likely to be doing most of the calls. There's a physics, I guess, side of that. Is easier to hear the sounds going forward and you're going into it. The stroke, for them to communicate effectively, they might have to move their head to the side, and that can upset the balance of the boat and upset the steering slightly. And then the bow person will also be managing the steering and where the boat is on the water, because you just get a better perspective of the line of the boat from that bow seat. And the stroke, however, is going to set the rhythm, will give clear communication about the feel of the boat as well, but it's hard for them to speak during the race.
And is the steering instinctive, Sarah? Over a period of time, if you've trained together, you know how you're going to work together, or is it a series of conscious decisions?
Sometimes it is. I think it is conscious decisions quite often. I mean, this is a straight course. You look down the river and it disappears to a pinpoint, so you're trying to keep your boat straight. But you need to make sure you work together, because if you start fighting each other even a tiny bit, it can upset the rhythm of the boat. It just doesn't feel right, and you suddenly lose the relaxation that you want to get. So communication is key, as in any partnership, in a doubles partnership.
Well, clearly these two Dutch girls are communicating well. Roos de Jong and Marloes Oldenburg. Oldenburg, 29 years old, her first time at Henley, silver medal European, a one-time swimmer. There are a few of those amongst the rowing family. I've heard it often said of swimmers that they got fed up with looking at the bottom of a swimming pool and wanted to be outside in the fresh air and learn how to pull themselves through the water in a boat, and this is being successfully done here.
And you look at it and you think, physiologically, swimming and rowing are very similar, and cycling. We've seen crossover in all three areas, really. Swimming, what you see is young athletes have to do it full time as well. It's not a sport you can take up late. You just don't see success of a late starter, but in rowing that's certainly not the case. For many of us, we didn't start till our late teens or even 20s and going on to get Olympic medals. Maybe that gets tougher and tougher as talent ID gets better, but look at the talent on here. We've got such a lovely rhythm and length from these two athletes. And Bath University crew, let's not forget about them. They have are one of the best women's crews here in Great Britain, one of the best universities, and look at them, they're pressing this through, lifting their boat up. Just the international crew from the Dart show, just that different standard at the moment.
Yeah, there's a difference in age, and of course therefore in experience. 20 and 23 years old, the two British women. And again, we spoke of the pair from Reading University only a short while ago, and it's a similar sort of story, coming up against genuine international class and learning at first hand. And what a fabulously worthwhile lesson it is, just how much more it's going to take to be right at the very top of the sport.
Yeah, and there's so much memory. Jose von Dosthoff, the Dutch coach, he coached his lightweight double to, I think it was Rio Gold in 2016. We saw him on the podium in 2008 as well. So these ladies will have stepped into a system that knows how to support them and mastermind winning performances, and that gives you such confidence.
And that confidence is visible, almost tangible, in the Dutch pair here. Mr. Jong, considered to be one of the most technical rowers in the Netherlands. New coach they have, Isabel Jacobs, who's helped them to find some speed. They say they still have an awful lot of work to do, and I guess they are setting themselves some pretty tough targets in that regard.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? At the moment, this stage of the race, crews are not prepared to race the whole course, if you like. They're managing their energy through the regatta, and as I said, we will be setting records today. This is the first time we've seen this event, and it's the standard of it has meant that we've been able to have racing here on Friday, quarterfinals. We'll see these athletes being matched up into their semis tomorrow, and I think we'll start to see those records go down and down.
I can tell you're excited about the inclusion of this event.
Oh, for me, it's so exciting. Double scull was my event. I went to the Olympic Games in that and won my bronze medal. I think they're a beautiful boat to watch. They're a tough boat to get right, and to see it done beautifully on the Henley rowing course, it's phenomenal. You
need your time back, Sarah. But for now, you can admire those who are fortunate enough to be involved for the first time in the women's double sculls here, and that is a more than adept Dutch pair who go through, Roos de Jong and Marloes Oldenburg, at the expense of those from Bath University. Those two worth keeping an eye on as the competition develops over the weekend.